Firstly, good afternoon to everyone. My name is Mahesh Kumar Palavalli, and I work as a SAP consultant in RAC, government of RAC in UAE. And I have around 8 years of experience, maybe more than 8 years now, in SAP, ABAP, Fiori, all these things. And like Srihari already mentioned, I'm exploring in business technology, SAP, cloud platform, all these areas. So that is one of the side effect. So I'm writing this, I'm showcasing this, blog, whatever I have written. So actually, you can see a lot of jargons in this, like Shailaja was saying initially, right? Paytm, conversational AI, integration. So too many jargons. So it's you might feel like, oh, what the hell he is discussing. So are this something that we can even manage to learn? So you might think that, but yes, it is very, very simple, and anyone can, learn these things, and they are pretty easy because it's all based on JavaScript. Whatever I have done here, everything is JavaScript, and JavaScript is like Srihari said, right? You can learn it from W3 schools, as I also have learned from there. So when it comes to the topic that I'm going to discuss, right? So this is some integration I'm doing with conversational AI chatbot. So this conversational AI is part of SAP Business Technology Platform Service, and Paytm, and many of us know here. I think everyone knows what is Paytm. Paytm is nothing but this payment integration mobile app we have, right? So now what I'm trying to do here is we have a conversational AI chatbot, and if anyone, let's say we have a bookstore, online bookstore. So a person comes there and searches for a book using the chatbot, and he says, okay, what are the available books? And then chatbot would automatically show, okay, these are the available books right now. And he can select which one to buy. He can click on buy, and it will give him a payment link. So that payment link, when he clicks, right, it will open the Paytm application. So Paytm application in the web. So once the Paytm application is opened, so he will do the transaction and he will complete it. And then he will get the response, this transaction ID is completed and the delivery will be successful. This is a very simple scenario that I'm showing. So, and this is not some business requirement or something that I have faced. This is for a challenge, like Puneet said, right? There is a community challenge for conversational AI. So I thought I should learn more about conversational AI and other SAP Business Technology Platform Services, which is cloud platform services. So I thought to do this integration, and I wrote a blog post as well. So this is a blog post, and now I'm going to talk about that here. First thing is, I'm not going to show the whole demo, hands-on demo and all. That is one reason is, it will take a lot of time. It will take at least 1 or 2 hours. It will take 1 or 2 hours. It will take. So that's why I'll just show what is the code I have written and what are the different parts of the integration that I have done. Right. Punit, I think you can mute, man.
Oh, sorry.
Yep. So thanks. And yeah, so let's move on to this part. Let me just, maybe I should have animated. Yeah, I did this animation part. The thing is, I cannot make it full screen because my screen is too big, wide screen, so it will not appear properly. Okay, so first, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the business technology platform. So in this business technology platform is nothing but a SAP cloud platform where we have different services hosted, where you can host your NodeJS or Java or whatever the platform language the platform supports, right? So that is the one. So here we have SAP Conversational AI. Conversational AI is SAP's service where we can create a chatbot. Chatbot means we know, right? In Facebook and all, we have different Facebook or WhatsApp where we interact with customer service, and some of them are automated, right? So all these things will be done using conversational AI. But SAP also has their own conversational called SAP Conversational AI. So I'll use this one to purchase books. So for this, I I use SAP Cloud Application Programming Model database. So I can actually fetch any other service, right? Online OData service, but I created a CAP service because it's more flexible and we can easily create it with a HANA database. It's very simple, and this is SAP CAP, which is used to create OData services and expose your business logic. So this is also one of the latest technology that SAP has come up with. So you guys can check this out. It's very interesting topic. SAP CAP. It's like similar to SAP RAP. So SAP RAP is based on ABAP. SAP CAP is based on Node.js and JavaScript. So that's what I was saying earlier. Everything that I did here is based on JavaScript. So this conversational AI, to show the books, it uses the CAP database. And after that, to show the payment page, right, to payment link and all, it uses a Node.js webhook. So I created a small Node.js application, which is again hosted in SAP Business Technology Platform. This Node.js application, what it does is it will give me the payment link. It will dynamically create the payment link for that book and it will show it to me. So once it gives the link, right? So I need to show the web page, right? So for that web page, all these things I am using HTML5 repository. This is also part of SAP Business Technology Platform. So where we can host our HTML applications, like maybe UEFI application you can host, or maybe regular HTML application. For example, the HTML application, this one, right? You can see this application where I can you see a chatbot. Oh, I'm sorry. So where you can see this chatbot here, right? This is a small dummy application I created. So this application is again hosted in SAP Business Technology Platform. You can see the chatbot and all, right? So this also I created and hosted in HTML repository. Not only that, that page HTML Paytm page will come, right? So that is also based on HTML repository. So once all these things will be integrated with our Paytm application. So this is outside SAP Business Technology Platform. This is just a URL that Paytm gives to us, their APIs. We use their APIs to show the payment page. So this is the overall picture of what I have done. So now, before going to that, let me show the demo so you guys will understand what I'm doing. So let's consider this as a web application, some web application, maybe some website, or let's say Amazon itself, right? So this is a dummy application. So like in many applications we see nowadays chatbots at the bottom, right? So like that we are seeing this chatbot here. So when I click on it and I'm just interacting with it, and let me ask, I want to buy some latest books. So it said, let me show you some books, and it showed some latest books here. So I want to buy The Alchemist. So let me buy it. So it said you have selected the node. Okay, yes, yes. And would you like to buy it? Yes. Then it is giving me a payment link here. See, this is a payment link. I'll open it here. Once I open the payment link, I will be having this payment page here. This is a Paytm payment gateway, right? So now you see nothing happened here till now. It is good. So still my payment is pending, right? It's going on. So now usually we know, right? We can go ahead with any number and we can give the OTP and we can do it. Or else currently I don't remember the OTP because this is a test account, test account, dummy account. So I don't have the OTP. I can go and find it, but maybe let me try. I'll show you guys dashboard as well, Paytm dashboard. So yeah, it's already logged in better. So now these are the API keys. I'll come to this later. Let me show you documented. Okay. So testing wallet 489871, right? 489871. Okay. So I'll just use from the Paytm balance here. This is a dummy account. So yep, I paid one rupee. So Paytm is payment is completed. Please close this page. Yep. So I'll go back to my page here, and you see it says the transaction ID is successful. this is a transaction ID of Paytm. Maybe you can write your own logic to show your small, transaction ID. So it's successful and the order will be delivered soon. So this all interaction happened using Node.js webhooks, all these things, which I will show right now. So let me go back to the, yep. So this is my cloud platform cockpit. So I'll open my business application studio. I use the business application studio to create my both OData service, which is based on CAP, as well as my Paytm webhook and HTML repository, right? To show this HTML page, which one? This HTML page, all these things will be here. I created it as a MTA application. So what I first did is I created a basic MTA application. So you can check it from the template here, start from template, and you can create a basic MTA application. And what MTA application means, like in maybe you guys can correlate to ABAP. In ABAP, we create a report, right? So like that, I'm creating an application here. But the thing is, this MTA has some very good feature. Like you can have multiple applications inside one application. It's like a container. In this container, you have multiple applications which can be
Mahesh,
linked together. Yes,
can you
Vikram.
magnify?
Okay, I'll do that. Is it fine? I hope it
Fine,
is
fine,
fine.
Mahesh. Thanks.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So this MTA application, this is called multi-target application, where you can have multiple applications which can be deployed and which can be related together, linked together. For example, you can take an URL from one application. Let's say I could have integrated my CAP application also inside this one. All applications I could have created as one single application. And this OData service, it comes, right? I can dynamically read that OData service URL inside my another application inside. I can do all that because of the features of MTA. I'm not doing it because I'm still kind of exploring all these things and there is a lot of things to learn. So basically, I have two different applications here. One is Paytm Payment Gateway, where I have two different index files you can see right here. One is test page where I'm showing my this application, right? So that is one test page. And one is this is the payment gateway. So once I click on payment here, so it is taking me to payment gateway, right? So that page is this one, and this is a URL that I get it from uh, Paytm. I'll come to that later. So this is one HTML repository here. So this will be deployed in HTML repository, and this is a Node.js webhooks. So why I'm using webhooks is, for example, if you can see here, it is bringing me this payment URL, right? So this payment URL, how it dynamically creates, because for every, if I select Hobbit, it should bring me a payment URL for Hobbit, right? Because for the further the price will be different, everything will be different, right? So I'm using the webhook to generate this payment URL here. And not only for that, if I see when I click on the pay here, right, it took me to this payment integration. So once I click on complete here, pay here, it's generating me the transaction ID, this message and all. So how this will be generated? So this is also generated using my webhook only. So once I click on pay, Paytm will call my webhook and it will call, then the webhook will call uh, my chatbot here. So this is the integration. So now let me show the conversational AI. Okay. So this is my conversational AI that I has created. So here I have different entities and intents and entities. So let me go back to Paytm here. I'll show you the overall picture of what I have done. Why it's not going inside? This is my different user ID. Okay, it's a problem. Let me just. Okay, so yeah, here we are. So this is my basic. These are dynamically created from, automatically created from SAP Conversational AI. So these are small talks. Like I think last time Shirin has showed all that. So I have two different skills here. One is to get the books. For example, oh, I'm not showing my page, right? Let me. I have to present again. 1 minute, guys. Yep. Now I hope you guys are able to see. So this is my conversational AI page where I have different skills here. Get books and Paytm page here, and get books is used to show the books here. For example, we have observed earlier. Let me show that page again. So I want to buy some books. So now how it is catching this? So how it is catching this is by using the get book skill. So in this skill, I'm having a requirement that if book ID is not there, if the book is not selected yet, then it will, this thing will be triggered. And here you can see I'm calling here one word data service. So this is my cap word data service, which I was showing you earlier. My cap word data service, it will fetch the data. And here I'm showing the list here using this code. So this is a custom logic which you can create and you can show that. So by this code, I'm able to show my data here, right? So all these three data is coming here. And next thing is actions. So for example, once he selects buy, right? So action also, that buy and all, it's coming from here itself. For example, if you see, I'm putting here type list, right? In this list, I have title and I have one button also. And the title of the button is buy. So for that reason, we are getting the here option, buy option here. So now, once I uh, click on buy, what should happen? An action should trigger, right? That action should say that you have selected the book Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Would you like to buy it? So this action is being done here. So see here, you have selected the book and my memory has a selected book ID. The book I selected here, right? Once I click on it, it will go to memory. So I am showing this option here. Once I click on S button here, this is a type, it's an action where it will show a text on the button. Once I click on S button, so it should show the payment link, right? So for that, what happens is, let me show, click on, if I click on S button, it will go to another skill called Paytm payment skill. So this is a skill here. Let me go back to build option. So this skill, it will go. So in this skill, it will first do a post call to my Node.js webhook. So this Node.js webhook, what I do is once I click on yes, it will trigger my payment hook, payment this one. So this webhook, if you see, I'm not putting a hard code button like what I have done here. This one, right? In get books, if you see, my action has, you have selected this book. Would you like to buy? This is all static, right? Even S is also static. But I'm not doing the same here for the payment link. What I'm doing here is I'm just calling my webhook, this webhook, this URL, right? This URL I'm calling post. I'm calling the post call here, and I'm not showing any button here. Then how they are coming dynamically here? this pay here, all this text, how it is coming here, because this is coming from my webhook where I have created, right? So that is generating this one, because this pay here, once I click on this, it should open a link. That link is a dynamically generated URL which has my payment related details. So all these things, I I am, instead of writing here, it will become too much lengthy logic. So what I'm doing is everything I'm generating using my no, a JavaScript code in the URL. Right, once I click on it, see, it's opening this URL. All these things I have written my code there in the webhook, which I will show it now. So after this, you see, even after my payment is completed, let's say I click on proceed ahead, and I don't remember it. Let me do net banking. So successful. See, it showed that payment is completed. Close this page. This is also getting generated, right? This is also not getting generated from here. Everything I have written it in the webhook itself, right? So that is also one advantage of conversational. You don't need to do everything here itself. You can also write the code in the webhooks where you can dynamically do that thing. Only the training part means it should recognize the books, it should recognize our whatever I'm typing, all these things you can do it here. So now let me go back to my webhook and show how this I'm generating my URL here dynamically. So let me stop sharing my screen. And let me share again. Okay, I hope you guys are able to see my screen. If not, just let me know. So I was telling you earlier, right? So for this, when I click on S button, it's calling a webhook. So the webhook that it is calling is from this app, this server.js. So this file it is calling. So not exactly this file. It will call, if you see this get URL post, right? That is a URL that I have configured there. So that URL it is calling. So what this URL is doing is it is preparing a callback URL. One is forget about callback URL. First, it should show a button right here. Please complete the payment and pay here. For this, what code I have written is I'm returning a response here. So this response has a reply of type buttons, and the content is title. Please complete the payment, and button is this URL, right? This URL I'm generating here. This is a hard coded URL. Ideally, this URL and all, right? You should not hard code it. You should get it from dynamically from BTP, because this URL will change, right? So that is the reason. Maybe from one system to another system, when you move from product development to production, this URL changes. So this should be a dynamically fetched URL. But for this demo purpose, I just hard coded it. Now see this URL, and this is of type button, and it's a web URL. Web URL, that is the reason why once I click on my payment here, right, it directly took me to the URL here. So that is the reason. And next part is, yes, so this URL, I'll talk about this URL. If you see this URL, this is a HTML .html URL, this one. So this URL is nothing but the URL that is coming from a different application in this MTA project. This one, this index.html. This is a web page, right? So let me go back. So that is a URL for that, and I'm passing this order token ID, all these things based on my here. You can go to API. Let me go back to my this thing. I don't remember the URL.
Mahesh, a very novice question. I'm sorry to ask.
Yes. No,
In
it's okay.
between. Uh,
Please.
just all this is standard. Nothing is custom. And can we just read and try to implement by ourselves, or it is all something customized and we can't do it without proper?
You're talking about customized means the page of payment page or something
Yeah,
different?
exactly. The payment page that opens afterwards.
Ah,
So you are
yeah,
saying the
actually,
are the that application that we can directly call, or that also we have to create?
yes, that's actually a very good question. Let me let me show you what is happening. I want to buy, yes, pay here. Perfect. So this page, I'm not doing anything here. What I'm doing here is this is all coming from um, Paytm itself. So how it is coming from Paytm is, I'll tell that one. But I was telling you I created one URL, right? Index.page application. So this application is a very basic application. So what it does is it has a static code. This code itself I have copied from Paytm itself, right? In the Paytm, you can go to Paytm gateway. They will give all the necessary code for you. You can go somewhere, API documentation somewhere you have to go, and you will fetch that. Let me show you. Mm, payments. I think maybe this one. Mm, show payment page. Yeah, this one. You see, I just copied all this code from here. I did not do anything else. So what happens is you see there is a action here. So this action, this URL is there, right? So this URL is mandatory that we have to pass it here. So once we pass it, right, so this UI will be automatically generated. So we are not doing any sort of coding. We are just copy pasting whatever is there. But the order ID and this merchant ID, we are dynamically passing that, passing here. So how I am passing it, I am reading it from the URL parameters. You see, I wrote a small script. So I'm reading the URL parameters and I am passing it to this document. So, and then I'm executing it. So automatically it is running. So why I am doing all this reading and all is because my payment page should know, right, for which order I am executing this transaction. So for which transaction is getting executed. So for that, I need to dynamically read this value. So from how I am passing it here is, you see, I'll go back to my server page. I told you I'm generating the URL for this index.html, right? So you see, I'm dynamically passing the URL, order ID, and merchant ID. All these things I'm passing here. So if you see, all these things are my merchant ID is, this is a merchant ID, merchant key. So these are all, even I'm just directly showing it here. You cannot misuse this information because this is just a dummy test account, right? So let me show you. So this is just a test account. I'm not using production account. So
Just
this is a merchant ID, merchant key, all these details.
so
So
enhancing your this point, this means in the same way we'll be having the different JavaScripts for other interfaces as well.
exactly,
Not be
exactly,
maybe might be if I want to open Facebook from my chatbot, so it will be there within that. I can check that in the documentation or any of the.
exactly.
Okay,
You are right, exactly. Because you see, Facebook also they have developers.facebook.com where they have different APIs available to them. And the main intention of this whole demo is to understand that it's not only for Paytm, you can do for any other integration. Paytm is just one URL. If you see, I'm using only one Paytm related URL here. Maybe you can pass a different kind of URL there. It's all up to our requirement, correct?
understood. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just showcasing how you can create a webhook here where you can handle, where you can send the responses. For example, I'm sending here, pay here all these your responses, right? So all this demo and all I'm just showing. And this is all some dummy code. So you should not write like this. You should write a good code. And I have all this code here. I'll just share it as well. Maybe you can use it. So now let me come back here. So I'm sending the URL here for this page, for the gateway page, where I'm dynamically reading my order ID, all these details. Because you see here I'm generating my order ID. See order ID, all these things I'm generating, and these are also I'm using Paytm related APIs here. See this Paytm related APIs. JavaScript folks will understand this better, but it's not very difficult for ABAP folks. Also, you can easily learn JavaScript and do this stuff. So here I'm getting the response. I'm getting the token response. This response I'm setting it. This is a token that is required for Paytm to understand this is a valid payment that's happening. So and also this payment, once this token is validated, then they use the order ID to understand what is the order ID. See here, I'm building all this, right? So they understand the order ID and they will show the amount. Maybe if you are sending, if I'm hard coding here the amount as one, but ideally you can read all the details from the webhook that, okay, this he has selected the book Alchemist and it is $30. So we can dynamically put the $30 here. So how we can dynamically read the data is, you see request dot body dot conversation dot conversation. I'm reading the conversation ID here, right? So like that you can put conversation dot book ID, book price. So like that we can read all the book details from the where from here we can read all the details here, because SAP is sending all that in the webhook. So we are reading all that here and then we can dynamically do it. I'm not doing it. I'm just hard coding the values here.
Logically, it is same as MVC for Webden Pro. Like you have
Exactly.
to just try to capture the value. That's it.
Yes.
The baseline. I'm sorry, but the baseline is this. The same MVC is there.
Yep. Exactly. It's all similar. Even UFI is also based on MVC only. So when you develop UFI application, right, we get that feeling that it is very similar to WebDin Pro. It has component controller, views, window, and they don't have window. But yeah, it has because the people who designed this UFI, right? So I think they are from that background only. So that's why you feel all those elements here. It's just anything JavaScript related, right? You have all these things. It's very easy to do it, but you just need to learn JavaScript, and JavaScript is not very difficult.
Cool.
So now,
Thanks.
you're welcome. So and now I'm generating my payment URL here. How I'm generating? I'm using this thing to generate my payment URL. So now once I click on payment, it will come here, and then once I select here, pay here, right, and click on successful. I'm not going to do it yet. I'll show it now. So once I click on that, what should happen? It should tell me that order is successful, and then all the things it has to do, right? So how it is, how our bot knows that order is successful? How it knows is Paytm itself. Those guys have given something called um, 1 second. Yeah, callback URL. So this is a callback URL. So I'm setting to the payment Paytm payment API callback URL. So this callback URL, what it does is, once a payment is successfully completed, this callback URL will be called. So this callback URL is also the same webhook. See here, another webhook. I created one webhook for creating the payment URL, which is calling this function here, like this method here, which is generating the payment URL. Once I click on payment URL and payment is successfully completed or it has failed, it should call our another webhook. Paytm will call another webhook, which is this webhook. How they will know is I'm creating a callback URL dynamically. And if you see, I am passing the conversational ID here. Why I'm setting the conversational ID is maybe 100 people might be purchasing, right? But this webhook should understand to which person they need to send the payment completed transaction completed message. So based on this conversational ID, which I read it when the webhook was initially initiated, right? So that conversational ID I'm reading and I'm creating a callback URL. So this callback URL will be called, which is nothing but this one. So will be called from the Paytm. So if you can see, I'm already reading the conversational ID URL parameter here. So this URL parameter, this only has one URL parameter. I'm reading that URL parameter here. But Paytm will send some additional fields like transaction ID, right? So I'm reading the transaction ID here. So all these things, they will send it to us. So that I'm also reading again, but I'll come to that later. Now,
One more question
yes.
for this chatbot. The ID that you're talking about, conversational ID, are they maintained in some database or they are just runtime things that gets created and
Yeah,
then
SAP Conversational AI, I showed you, right? Where is that? Yeah, here. Those guys will be maintaining it. So those guys have database. This is a small tool that SAP has given us. They will have their own database. They will maintain all conversations. Like my conversation will have a unique ID. Your conversation will have a unique ID. So all these things they will maintain it, but they will send it to us when that webhook is called, which I'm reading here.
okay.
So now I got my conversational ID here. And what I'm now doing is I'm using conversational AI APIs. So let me show here. You see documentation. Okay. Oh, done. Where we can easily find that. I'm not able to find it. We can go from here inside documentation, but where I have to go and search for that. That's why I'm directly trying to open it from here. Yeah, this one. So they have again because see what happens is now once my webhook is triggered, this this uh, payment completed, this message is there, right? So this message, how I need to send it to conversational AI. So like how Paytm has given their APIs, conversational AI also, SAP Conversational also has given some APIs to us. So once we call that APIs, so we can interact with the bot from our backend system. Maybe for example, if you want to send a message from a web system also, we can make use of this APIs here. So they have different APIs, bot APIs, runtime APIs, all these different APIs are there. So these URLs, these are nothing but small URLs only. Like how we can call an ABAP system, right? HTTP class URLs. So those URLs only we can call them, and then the messages will be generated. So I'm using one of the API that conversational AI has given. This is the API. So this API is called Conversations API, and we have to pass a conversational ID, and this is a messages entity or maybe API. Yeah. So why we are calling this API is to send a message. So what message I am sending here is, see, I'm sending a message which is of type text. Content is your transaction is successfully completed and will be delivered soon. So this is a API, and I have to set the authentication also. I just hard coded the token. This is a developer token. Ideally, you can read the tokens and all dynamically. If we have single sign-on configure, right? You don't need all these things, but yeah, I had to hard code it here. You have to read dynamically, but I hard coded it. So now what happens is I'm sending the message to my payment that payment is completed. Let me click on this, successful, right? Now this will call my webhook, and that webhook will send a message to my maybe the payment is expired. I'm not sure because I gave very less time. It's successful. Sorry. Maybe I didn't scroll properly, but I did it 2 times, right? So it gave the same transaction because it was the same transaction that was completed. I cannot pay 2 times, right? That is, Paytm is taking care of it. We don't need to worry. So it gave that the transaction is completed successfully already. So that is a part of webhook, right? Now, I already showed you this is my HTML page that I'm pushing, and this is my another HTML page where I'm hosting my web chatbot. So this is a web page where I'm hosting my chatbot. How I get the chatbot is maybe I have to stop sharing again. Let me share back. One second, guys. Okay. I hope you guys are able to see my screen. See, I'll go to connect here. In the connect, SAP itself has given something called web chat. So here, this is a script. What I did is I copied the script and pasted in my code. So where I'm pasting it is here. Okay, so here I'm just pasting it here.
It's 16 gone.
Yeah, I'm sharing again. because I have two different windows. That is the reason. So now you are able to see, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So now I pasted that script here. So you see, I didn't do anything here. Like only the code I have done here is for my webhook, where I just need to dynamically generate the URL. That's a small piece of JavaScript code. So now
Mahesh, you pasted the webhook or the chatbot thing which you copied in the server or the client side of it.
yeah, client side of it,
Client
because
side.
I need to show the pop-up in the client only, right? So this is a
Right.
web page. In the .html page, I'm pasting it.
Cool.
Yes. So now what I did is after this, I need to deploy it, right? So all these, I have two different applications. One is my webhook and other is my payment gateway web pages. So now this is MTA project, which will be generated by right clicking here, coming here and generating that application will create it. And now I have different parameters, all these things here, which I'm not going to discuss because this will take a lot of time, but I'll just give a brief idea. So one is, you can see here, I'm using Paytm Kai. You see the path is app. So this is an app, right? The name of that in the cloud platform will be shown as Paytm Kai. And this is a Node.js application, right? Whatever we created here is a server.js package.js. It's a Node.js application. So that is one application. And the second application is my um, yeah, second application is my HTML application. So where is this? Sorry. Yeah, this one. This is my second application. Or maybe I have to wait a second. Yeah, this is my second application, Paytm HTML. So you see the path is payment gateway. This is a path, and it's based on HTML5. So this is my second application. I'll minimize these ones. I'll minimize this. But I have again here two other things. One is UI deployer. What UI deployer does is, this HTML application is there, right? Whatever the application here, it will compress it into one zip file, and it will push it to my HTML repository. My SAP cloud platform, business technology platform, HTML repository is there, right? This application, it will push it, right? So that is what this is doing. And this one is for this application has to be hosted somewhere. So I'm hosting it in where I'm hosting it in my launchpad service. Okay, this is where my HTML will be hosted. In the launchpad, we have to use this piece of code here. I don't know much about what are all the parameters and all. I actually kind of copy pasted it from a blog post. So this is actually needed to host your web app. If anyone knows, they can share their knowledge, but this is some piece of common code. You can copy paste it. So that is what it's happening here. And these are the additional resources which are required for this application to run. For example, my one second, my HTML. Yeah. So this UI deployer is there, right? This UI deployer will be, one second. So it requires which one? HTML repository host, because somewhere it has to be hosted. This will deploy. This application will deploy it, but somewhere it has to be hosted, right? It will be hosted in HTML repository in business technology platform. It might be little bit difficult right now because for me itself, it's little bit confusing all these topics and all. But you will get it once you start to dig in deep in this one. So I'm not going to go very in depth. But basically what I'm doing is this empty, I'm configuring these two applications, this app and this HTML repository gateway, to be deployed to SAP Business Technology Platform. So now what I did is I just click on build, and it will generate my MTA archive here, and then right click on it and deploy it. So once I deploy it, what happens is, let me refresh once. So I have here HTML5 applications, right? Whatever the application I deployed here will come here, right? If I click on it, it will open this URL. See, if I change this to because I deployed two different applications, right? In order to access them, you need to access like this index.html. This is another application, right? HTML will not work. It will not work because we are not passing all the dynamic tokens and all that we generated. That's why it will not work. Only this hard-coded chatbot application is there that will work. Okay, so that will work. The other one will be called from webhooks, so that's why it is working for us. So now this is my HTML repository. See, it is deployed in Launchpad, managed application router, because we have configured all these things here in this destination content. So that's why it is deployed here. So now let me go back to, because our Node.js application also has been deployed. We need to check where it has been deployed. So you see it is deployed here. So this is our Node.js application and this is our URL. So this is a URL that I have configured in my Paytm, sorry, not Paytm, Conversational. We have configured, right? So that is a place. So I have configured this, and also I was showing you guys, right, where I'm fetching the books application. So this is a CAP application. It's a very basic application. I did not do anything. I created here, right, start from template. You can check it in online. There are many blog posts how to create a CAP project. Click on CAP and I generated it. Nothing. I have not done anything. And then I pushed it to SAP Cloud Platform. And once I pushed it here, right, it came here. Like how I did here, right? Same way I did it for CAP also. I went here, I clicked on, because this will automatically generate everything. Build MTA and push MTA. Once I do this, our application will come here. So this is our OData service based on cloud application programming model. Right? So I click on books, I'll see all my books here. So this is the books that are being read in here, right? So all these books are coming here based on that. So yeah, guys, that's it. So we used cloud application programming model to show the books, and we used Node.js webhook to generate the URL and callback URL, and we used the HTML repository to show the HTML application and also to show the payment page, and that is how we integrated all